In a continuation of the coverage of what's going on in Edo State, the Edo State governor, of course, went to Kano State to commiserate with those who had lost their lives, the families of those who have lost their lives in that tragic killing of 16 hunters who were traveling from Rivers through Uromi to Kano State for the Salah celebration, only to meet their untimely deaths right at Uromi access, where some altercation happened, and then it dovetailed into the killing of a few of them there. Our guest this morning is Dr. Mohammed Mujtaba Abubakar, the Chief Lecturer, Department of Business Administration and Management, Waziri Umaru Federal Polytechnic, Birnin Kebbi. Good morning. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me on the program.
Okay, I'm sure you are following these developments. There are several, mediation. The governor has traveled to Kano State to commiserate with the people there. He has also met with the Hausa community in Edo State. He's also begged, and saying that, look, this will never happen again. It's an unfortunate incident. Edo State is not known to have this type of experience in terms of mobbing individuals who practically were harmless. But from your end, really, do you think all of these moves made by the governor would assuage the anger that this has built up over time?
Thank you for having me on the program once again. I think before answering this question, it is important to start by saying Nigeria is right now facing a myriad of problems. Particularly, we are talking about the security situation in the country, vis-a-vis the killing of hunters in Oromi, Edo State. This is quite unfortunate. This is condemnable. It is ungodly. And I think all hands must be on deck to forestall future occurrence and to ensure justice is done. Now, back to your question, the governor of Edo State visiting Kano, I think this is quite commendable. Not all governors can do that or have done that in the past. And I have seen the visit, I have heard the conversations, and the governor and the elders of Kano State have also promised that there's not going to be a reprisal attack. So by and large, that visit, like I said, is commendable. That visit will go a long way in dousing the tension and also in preventing a reprisal attack. Yes.
All right. We've seen other persons even throw out threats. We've seen on social media how social media has also erupted with some of these vitriol attacks about threats to do a reprisal attack on people or southerners who live in the north. How do you think that when things happen of this magnitude, it is not colored under ethnicity? Because even in politics, we see that play out. When we are supposed to talk about individuals and how they can be of good benefits to society, we first of all profile them to know where exactly they're coming from before we think whether they're good enough for the country or not. So for you, as someone who is in that space, do you think that we are misplaced when we almost always think of ethnicity when it's a tragedy or when we're looking to appoint people or even vote people in power? Do you think we have lost our steam when we always put ethnicity first before even thinking of humanity?
You are quite correct. You see, we are really missing the right thing, because if you take the Nigerian state, for instance, with hunger all over the place, insecurity, youth restedness, the solution to this We are looking for us. We are looking for credible leaders. It doesn't matter where they come from or their ethnic or religious or tribal background. And I think Nigerians are now becoming more aware of this reality. You see, the youth are being misguided, unfortunately, by a section of the political class. Let us say the truth. You see, people are playing religious politics, tribal politics. If you look at those at the helm of affairs, they belong to a particular class, all of them. Let me say they belong to a club. It's only when you come down the ladder, you see people, being divided along ethnic, tribal, and religious lines. Because the bottom line is food on the table. Every Nigerian, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of ethnicity, religion, what we want is peace. Because without this peace, we cannot even worship. So what we need is peace. And for us to actually attain this peace, there has to be, economic stability. There has to be prosperity. People must be happy. So to me, there are salient reasons why whenever things of this nature happen, particularly the youth, and even some of our leaders, they make use of tribal, religious, and ethnic sentiments for the worsen the situation. However, for me, the reason why this is happening is because, Nigerians are having a lot of mistrust of their leaders. If you look at this, killings of hunters, one will begin to ask questions like, are there no police around? Yes, it is a local community. Why vigilante? The state government even come out to say these vigilante are not registered by government. They are unknown, so they are mobbed. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that, you see, when people lack trust in government and in authority, constituted authorities, it will create a situation of chaos, like the one we are witnessing or the one we have just witnessed. And there is chaos all over the country. In the north, the northerners are also killing themselves. So when we talk killings, it is all over. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. And to me, like I said, it's a failure of our institution. It's a failure of leadership. It is our failure collectively. And the way forward is to address these issues. That's the way forward. You see, it is not enough to say, okay, we are paying compensation, we are sorry, and so on and so forth, But what can forestall the occurrence of these killings in the future is for people to see that justice is done. I know Mr. President has come out, has ordered for the prompt and full investigation of the massacre. I am fully aware of the promise of the state governor, Edo State, and the action she has taken. And like you have said also, the Kano state government and elders in Kano are also doing their best to ensure there is no reprisal attack, to actually try to separate, facts and figures, from misconceptions, from imaginations of people, and also from the, negative tendencies of some of the bad elements among us. Because we have bad elements. We have people who have no love for Nigeria, people who want to see Nigeria destroyed. They are all over the place. So, like I also mentioned, the issue of youth restiveness, where there is hunger all over the place. These youth, they don't have job to do. So it's like they are looking for trouble. They are not only, in Edo State, in the south, in the north, they are all over the place. So what I'm saying is that we need to address this issue holistically. It is one of the most unfortunate events that has happened in Nigeria. Because when we say insurgents and kidnappers and the rest, when we say they are being sponsored by insiders and outsiders, the mob that have killed, hunters, the gruesome killing, broad daylight, we know these are not I don't want to believe they are sponsored. They are just youth that are frustrated, who are not enlightened, who are not really educated, who have are carrying hatred and a lot of misunderstandings about Nigeria ethnicity, issues of tribe, issues of religion. Because we have had in the video clip, we have seen and we have heard some of them say they are House of Fulani, Boko Haram, this and that. They are kidnappers, So from their utterances, you can understand that there are some underlying things that actually contributed a lot to the massacre. So really, we have a lot to do. We have a lot to do.
Yeah, you highlighted the importance of even the government and the police in itself. Where were the police when all of these were going on? One would have also thought about that through, really, because even the modus operandi of vigilante is basically not to take laws into their own hands. When they find those kinds of things in their locality, the best way to go about it is to report to the constituted authority. So I'm wondering whether you think there's also a breakdown of law and order or a breakdown of communication between the vigilante and the police, because it takes just one call, 1 minute, 2 minutes less, or even a text message to say, oh, well, we have some people who are having guns, because again, that's what we're told, that they were carrying guns and all that. So how come that call was not even made? What is the modus operandi of vigilantes? One could say, okay, look, we understand how important vigilantes can be. They just complement the security aids as case may be. And it's just so surprising that it happened at the spur of the moment, and within, an hour or so, some people are getting burnt. It's terrible. This shouldn't be heard of in today's Nigeria. Do you think that there's some sort of breakdown of law and order or breakdown of communication between even the Nigerian police and even the vigilante themselves?
You see, the fact is that there may not even be any communication. When you look at the police architecture, or let me say security architecture in the country, you see a situation where, look at the size of the police. Do we have them? Are they enough? Do they have the gadgets? Do they have enough weapons? Are they motivated? Look at their salary, their condition of service. This should, if you look at the police and their general situation, how they operate, their preparedness, you know that this alone, is a real conversation. So honestly, yes, I raised that issue that where are the police? But I know fully that these police are not enough. They are not really equipped. The communication, tools may not be available, especially in a local environment, and so on and so forth. So a lot of factors might have played. Like you said, while the driver and one other person were with the police, they are being interrogated. In fact, that is what has saved the truck driver. Otherwise, he would have been one of those to be killed. Because when they were there with the police, that is whatever, happened. And like I said, this mob, they are bloodthirsty. You have to look at this thing from various perspectives. When you say here are Boko Haram members, here are kidnappers, and the youth, the kind of we have in the country today, when they come around, they don't wait. They don't even think of police. They assume to be the police. So people taking law into their hands in Nigeria is a well-known issue, is a well-known problem. And the only way to stop this is to ensure that perpetrators are punished. This is the bottom line. We have seen the video. These people can be apprehended. They can be prosecuted in the court of law. And this is the way forward. Otherwise, anything can happen anywhere. Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, anything can happen anywhere. Yeah. So what I'm advocating is that the security system, particularly the Nigerian police, because the Constitution and the Police Act mandate the police to prevent crime, and also enforce the law and order. In fact, I don't know whether it's in the Police Act or in the Constitution. The police sometimes are even mandated to carry out some military functions where necessary. But these police are our police, they are weak, honestly. Our police need to be, overhaul the system itself. Okay, because we are talking, I'm only stressing on police, but the entire security architecture. Because this explains why we have the myriad of security problems we have. So while we try to say the police are not doing their job or the police has failed, we have to look at the condition under which the police work in Nigeria. And I want to use this medium to appeal to Mr. President and the lawmakers to look at the police welfare. I couldn't believe here that a deputy superintendent of police who receives something above 300,000 naira on retirement will start receiving 50,000 naira. I think Nigeria will need to chart a new course for this country. Yeah.
All right. How would you also rate the media coverage of that particular incident and even the coverage afterwards? Would you rate the media high, medium, low, or do you think that the media would have done a lot better in what it is that they did so far or they have done so far?
Honestly, I would like to rate the media high. I know that it's not just the mainstream media, but also the social media has also, contributed. But then talking about the mainstream media, I would want to rate the media high. And you see, this time around, because sometimes, because of our, ethnic and tribal sentiments, we are all Nigerian. This time around, I have seen something different. I have seen media houses, journalists of southern extraction condemning this killing of Hausa hunters much more than the Hausas themselves do. This is not the first time. This is commendable. This is the way to unite Nigeria. And also, I want to also urge the people of northern extraction, whenever issues of national interest of this nature, happened, they should also be fair to the Southerners. I remember, I don't want to, provoke anything, but I remember in the past, we had even the clergy, the ulama, the Islamic scholars, who came out to condemn some extrajudicial killings that have taken place in the north under the guise of religion. And I think this is quite commendable. So like I said, I rate the media high as far as the coverage of this issue is concerned.
Right. You have said in your discussions on this channel that part of the reasons why some of these things happen is because most persons, citizens, don't trust the government, either trusting the police, trusting the security agencies, or even trust the government. And so because of that, people tend to take laws into their hands and perpetuate these types of evil. I'm wondering what you think the government can do in order to have citizens trust to the extent of providing justice in whatever it is that is, facing them.
Number one, I think three things should be taken serious by government to address the issue of widespread mistrust, suspicion. No government can succeed in a situation where the citizens don't trust their leaders. A lot of things need to be done, but I will mention three. One is public education and enlightenment. Public education and enlightenment. This is key. Second, job creation. Let us take our youth off the road. You see, the frustration that the youth are carrying, the anger and the frustration, propel this mistrust. And I think the government need to go beyond budget formulation and presentation and passage to practical implementation. Number 3 is the issue of good representation. Issue of good representation. We have, lawmakers who spend 4 years, some even 8 years sitting down in the chambers, whether low chamber or high chamber, whatever, or the red chamber or green chamber, in the world. These are some of the issues I think that need to be addressed. When you are a representative of the people, you should be a representative of the people by action. I know through constituency projects, many of our, lawmakers, legislators, provide empowerment. But you see, talking about the welfare of the people, like that, this thing that has happened, it's not just about the executives, and the judiciary. We also want to see our lawmakers coming out to talk, to condemn, set committees, special committees, if possible, embark on visitations and interaction with stakeholders, because the government is still has that constitute government. So I think these are some of the things that government need to take serious in order to actually address the issue of mistrust. And this mistrust, I want to add, this mistrust of Nigerian citizens against their leaders also shows mistrust among them, among the citizens themselves. What am I saying? You see, we need to trust our neighbors. For instance, it's not only that Nigerian citizens or the common citizens mistrust those in authorities, but mistrust is everywhere because we are not our brother's keepers. So we need to trust ourselves. And I think from there, we can begin to trust our leaders, because leaders, are from us. What I'm trying to say is that today I'm not a leader, I'm a politician, tomorrow I may be one. So there is need for enlightenment, for public education and enlightenment, our religious institutions, our non-governmental institutions. We need to go into advocacy and enlightenment. For instance, now, this issue of hunters to be enlightened and educated. Yes, they carry light arms, locally produced arms. That has been the tradition. But under the present circumstances, in the country, I think the hunters would have done much better. What happened has happened. And like you said, we need modus operandi, not only for vigilante. The entire security architecture not to provide modus operandi for things like hunting, movement from one place to another. Yes, the Constitution has guaranteed. And we can see that there are much more southness in the north than you find northerners in the south. And they are living in the north peacefully. But because of this mistrust, because of the misconceptions, because of lack of education and public enlightenment, I think these are some of the things that promote mistrust and violence in Nigeria.
Right. Bearing in mind what has happened, really, I mean, one would think, well, now that this has happened this way, we would have started looking at the composition of the vigilante groups across the country. Do you think that this particular incident is enough to disband all of it, or to start checking their activities, or maybe even start finding a way of, inculcating them into mainstream security?
I think disbanding is not the solution. In fact, disbanding the vigilante will worsen the situation. I think the right thing to do is to integrate them properly, is to overhaul. Like you have read the issue of modus operandi. Probably this modus operandi for the vigilante may not exist. If it exists at all, it may exist only on paper. And many of them don't have the prerequisite knowledge. I want you to believe me, some of them could not even read and write. So there are issues, even who is qualified, to be registered as vigilante. So honestly, the Oromi event, the unfortunate event, called for overhauling of the vigilante, modus operandi. Their policies need to be, overhauled completely. It is called, and since we have had, there are even illegal vigilante. These are the ones to be disbanded. I don't know that Edo state government, but I have heard this from Edo. Some officials are claiming that the vigilante, the so-called vigilante that perpetrated the killings of the innocent hunters are not even registered, they are not organized by government. And this is very serious, very, very serious. So I think their operations, their modus operandi, the policy, governing vigilante need to be overhauled. There is the need for new registration, and even we need to determine, government need to determine the security. I think it's the National Civil Defense. I think they are the ones that have the constitutional right, to check the vigilante activities. So maybe a new registration, the issue of training, the issue of who is competent to join the vigilante, because the vigilante, we all know their duty is to report to the police.
Yes.
Yes, arrest and hand over to the police. They are not allowed to take any action. But what is happening in the country right now is the contrary. And this is because of general weakness in our security, and the mistrust, of course. A lot of issues need to be addressed.
Absolutely. Dr. Mohammed, many thanks for our insights. It's always been a fantastic time really discussing with you on the national polity. Many thanks for your time. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.